What's good, everybody? Greetings and salutations this afternoon. It is Zeralath Eternal. So, I kind of had a inkling feeling to kind of discuss. Um, I feel like, I feel like everybody is the most of the evil that people are giving themselves anxiety about on a regular basis is we've got an evil genius that we can't catch, right? I mean, like it's Loki, but we have an evil genius that we can't catch, and he keeps laying traps. And um, because we're so ignorant of our world, our surroundings, our lives, who we are, the way we work, so on and so forth, we can't help but fall for these traps because these traps are only there to catch the ignorant. In fact, once you've got the keen senses for these traps, you you'll realize that they're not even actually hidden. They're hardly even camouflaged. They might be color coordinated, but they're not even fucking. But it don't even blend in that well. It's not even trying, right? It's what's made me better at all sorts of things because I put myself on an economic shutdown, practically by the time I got into 2014. Just being like, no, I don't do anything with my fucking Social Security. It's all slavery, right? I don't want to do any. I don't want to work on the books on any level. Fuck that. That was kind of where my consciousness was completely at, right? Especially because the job market was horrible, and I was also consciously aware of everything being slavery, and to what degree it was slavery. I was pretty fucking good at studying the Matrix at that point in my consciousness. I had not fucking come across Black Earth Productions yet, and or even understood that I was of pagan ancestry connected to anything outside of Greco-Roman, which is only crudely identifiable to me. Like I can't get to. There's something too missing. It's far too cosmopolitan. It's far too. It feels a little separated from nature. There's something going on there. Greco-Roman has to kind of almost precede itself, in a sense, which is hard to do because I think your entire pre-Sea People's identity had been co-opted by those who would come in of the Sea People's Federation and kind of eventually become these other various Middle Eastern groups, Phoenician groups particularly, right? And all that stuff, right? So there's a tremendous amount of traps that have been laid out for the profane and they will fall into them. And just like how many people fell into the single trap, I think that 2020 was about falling into the single trap of fall into the protocols of this one particular thing, right? And that's what it all was about. They put all of this energy into the control grid, on both the digital and the physical level of the world. And I don't know about the digital world, but I don't think the physical world has the stomach for being like anything like that anymore, right? You're going to have to really think outside the box, because they're not going to hit you with something just like that again. It might just be in the mix to drive you fucking crazy. It'll try to drive you crazy. So that way, their rational fucking answers stick out like a sore thumb. Their mainstream fucking answer and their controlled opposition answer. Because they have to control it on two levels more than ever. You know, they need their fucking, they need their fake independent podcasters, right? As well as their obvious corporate podcasters. And then they're competing with the successful, authentic podcasters, because the successful ones, it's hard to tell, because are you just succeeding because of advertising and good writing, or are you not even monetized, but you're a big fucking deal and must be answered to on that level, right? There's a lot of things that people don't understand, and so part of the traps is, you're listening to, these guys are like the hunter's hounds, right? A trap's been laid out, a fox has been released, that's you, and now the hound has been released ahead of the hunter, who doesn't have to do any work. He can just ride his horse and then come to claim you once the hound has hounded you into doing what the hunter wants, which is to run away towards his trap. So running away from the hunter is actually running to the hunter. Does that make perfect sense as to what the fuck they are doing to you? That is what you have to fucking worry about. That is the nefariety by which they enslave you while needing to lie about, quote, freedom. And there's only a few countries that I think really use the freedom slogan so much, right? America's one, Canada is one, even though Canada's proved several times over that they got no freedom whatsoever, per se. I mean, no, you do. If you're spiritual enough, you see it, right? This is why you got guys like David Whitehead kicking ass over in Canada, right? He doesn't need to leave Canada to be of the highest quality life and be technically free. He had to deal with a whole lot of fucking legal ninjutsu, social ninjutsu, but, truth warrior David Whitehead prevails, as I would expect everybody in the unslaved family to do, much like those in the Temple of the White Dragon have done. And so that's why I'm kind of talking about these warnings, because there's so much that has been discussed, right? If you are practicing Kabbalah, you need to ask yourself, have you ever thought about competition to Kabbalah? Can you get your mind out of the authority of old tomes in the way that you have thought of them, and the way that you think of doing tradition, right? Like me, for instance, as an animist pagan, but also a mystic. I'm not a shaman, but I do some shamanic things. Ceremonial magician. I strive for the deeper meanings. I don't fuck with magic that I cannot fucking know in my 3 selves, taking it to the 9 selves. So acumen is a different creature. I work plenty with my Norse runes. I work not one iota with anything coming out of the Caucasoid systems. Right? None of that. But I know basics of it. But in a completely different framework and context. Completely different. Because of the numerology to the geometry, to the energy flow itself, to what is the central focus, what keeps things in motion, and how the life generating principle is operating in its true, original, natural form. Right? So, having done all this with my fucking self, I don't worry about Loki's traps. You have only to worry about Loki's traps because you've allowed yourself to wake up to a nightmare. And now you're in a waking nightmare. And you need to take care of your fucking self. Inside to out, and starting on that inside. Like, I don't connect with people unless I know that they're connected to their heart. So it takes me a long time before I've decided, okay, this person is someone who can actually hear me, because I only talk from my heart. The mind may make some adjustments. The gut may have some vibe checks. But ultimately, I'm not worried about a goddamn thing. I don't need to, I'm so unscripted. I barely write fucking questions when I do an interview. I meditate on the subject matter as a whole and have a rough framework of inquiry. And from that, I can build 2 to 3 hours of gold when I am prepared internally to do so. And that's just how it works when you're a podcaster who has a full-time day job, or, needs to have a full-time day job. I'll get to the chat room if you've been patient, but not while I'm driving and the sun is low. But I can already see there's some nonsense people saying nonsense things. Oh, and then 2 of my mods popped in. What's up, Freya and Peaceful? I see yous there. Yeah. If you saw any wasteful, childish comments in the chat room, you guys can go ahead and just get rid of them, unless they look like something that sounds like it would be fun for me to respond to, Because I don't want you to just take it down because it's trolling. I want you to leave it up if it's interesting. Because at the very least, I want to yell at the guy if I haven't read the comment. I want to yell about what he said. I might be interested. I saw something about touching myself from this other guy, and I'm just like, meh, like that one. That one can just go down because that's just some child taking advantage of just what's coming across his feed, right? No big fucking whoop, but not welcome either, right? That's my attitude on that. It doesn't matter, but it's also not welcome. It's about as dismissive as I can be about it. Right? So you don't want, so you need to, if you actually bother to continue to learn how things work in the world that you want to participate in, you're going to have to learn a lot about not just how these things that have traps in them in the world work, but you're also going to have to navigate the psyche of other people who do, right? And, you've got to build all sorts of particular defenses, personal defenses, right? Because also another thing is, it's just like, you're not gonna like Loki's a pretty powerful monster, right? Everybody's eventually gonna get hit by one of his traps. I mean, life isn't worth living unless you've done something risky enough to entice Loki's mischief. That's something that I believe, because he wouldn't be fucking with you if you weren't a valid threat. So, in other words, live your fucking life, but don't live your life as a fool, right? Have 'em all one, motherfucker, have 'em all one. Anywhere you go, have situational awareness. That is the layman's translation of the message within have 'em all one. Pay attention at all times, especially when you cross the threshold into a new situation. That's have 'em all one. You will live a lot longer just remembering have 'em all one. It's kind of the absolute perfect wisdom initiator fucking lesson one could ask for. Have your wits a fucking about you. Because Galar and Fjalar lurk in the corners to bloodlet your wealth. Okay? So, you are going to want to do a thorough enough study about how things actually work in medicine. The stuff that you can't just do a fucking search one day and expect on page 15 of your Google or DuckDuckGo algorithm is going to bring you an article that's going to give you anything you can actually figure out about the occult secrets of bypassing their bullshit. For anything. This is not just for medical. This is for anything. Right? I mean, like, is it going to be war? Is it going to be faked alien invasion? Is it going to be seismic event? Right? It's fucking... Do we just listen to Billy Joel's End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine? Or, no, that was REM. No, it was I Didn't Start the Fire? It's like I didn't start the fire, but it's more like which fire is going to burn down my house, right? It's like, which fire is going to burn down my house? It was always burning at the place next door. I don't know how you'd fucking sing it in a parody manner. But anyway, you get my point. Stickman said hi. And Sophia Maria Harbu says hi. Hi. All right. Then I see all you guys in there. Thank you. All right. You're also going to have to take a look at everything that you can't do. You're going to have to look at every instance that your brain, your mind, your intellect reminds you can't do this. And you need to start calling it a liar. Okay? And I'm talking about when it tells you you can't do what I'm doing, what an ordinary man can do. You can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every single day in a manner that does not feel like it's a bad thing. You can take a 15 to a half an hour jog 4 times a week for a little while. You maybe can't do that today, but today you could get out there for 15 minutes and maybe stop, breathe for a minute, pick up again, but get that lap done. There's all sorts of things you can do. There's all sorts of things you can't do today. There's all sorts of things that can't stop you from starting the process of getting to doing it. It's a question of how much time do you want to invest in how far you want to go. And building a proper relationship with yourself. Because the more you're taking care of yourself, the far less you have to continue to worry. And you need to let go of your peers thinking you're doing something threatening. Right? Like, you didn't get your vaccine? I feel so threatened by you. Right? That's what people were conditioned to feel, threatened by those that took a risk on their immune system. Always take a risk on your immune system if you have truly done the internal work. All right, so beware these traps. I'll catch you guys later.